So we want to start a bit of a tradition, and that is the Canadian car bomb, which is a half a shot of maple syrup and a half a shot of whiskey dropped into a Canadian. We'll do cheers with this, and then we can drop and go for it. Thank you so much for being a part of this, guys. It's been a blast.
Thank you.
Oh, that didn't work.
Yep. Oh, that was like all maple syrup in the last sip. Oh. Woo! Welcome, the Dead Projectionists, to the Syrup and Soundwaves studio here in Peterborough at Echo Studios. How did you first come into music, and what instruments led you to the one that you're currently playing?
I started playing drums when I was 8 years old. I picked up the guitar a little while after, but I stuck with drums as my sort of main focus.
I ended up playing tambourine, guitar, melodica, basically diddle whatever instrument was around.
Okay.
And then ended up getting a synth at some point, and then kind of just specialized in that.
I was in 7th grade. I decided that I wasn't very good at sports and I needed a way to meet chicks, so I started a band, and I played bass until the 12th grade. And then when I went off to college, I started writing songs because I was alone in my dorm room a lot of the time.
I was forced into music. My parents wanted me to play piano. They just wanted me to be in music so bad. So I started on piano. I hated it. Passion. Then I found harmonica. I played harmonica for 4 years. And then friends of mine were starting a band, like, we need a bass player. Like, cool, yeah, let's do that. So then I just started playing in bands. And then Alex and I are cousins, so when he moved to Toronto, it was one night, it's like, how, do you want to play bass just for a night? And we're like, yeah, sure, absolutely. So then I did, and then I stuck with bass.
Yeah, basically in my family, everyone had to do piano, so at the same time, my older brother was a guitar master, guitar hero. So I tried to copy him, and dude, this is still broiling in my stomach.
But I had a bass teacher from the time that I was 12 until I was like 17. And by the end of our lessons, I started just showing him songs that I was writing. And something he said to me always stuck with me, which was that if you want to make money writing songs, you need to write songs that 16-year-old drunk girls can sing when they're at a bar. So I did the opposite of that. And I always think about that every time I think about how it'd be nice to sell out. I don't want to be that girl at the bar. But it was good. Sometimes you need somebody just to provoke you by saying shit that's essentially true but not true.
Now, as far as storytelling, this was something that was mentioned before, and I wanted to circle back to it, because the first time we met, you told me a little bit about Right Next to the Dynamite.
Yeah, of course. Curb and I bonded first over music, but then over films, but we definitely watched a lot of spaghetti westerns, and we both bonded over the good, the bad, and the ugly. I remember we were sitting on the couch one day and I was watching the scene where they're going to blow that bridge up, and they really blew up a fucking bridge. And I was like, he's just smoking and holding dynamite in his hand at the same time. Like, this is the stupidest thing you could ever do. And then at the same time thinking, like, but that's awesome. Like, nobody would ever do that anymore because they're pansies. So then I wrote it kind of just about, the way that we are so coddled and overcautious and safe now.
So what about your new songs? What of the record that you're making now, what do you think your favorite story is behind one of your songs?
Usually I try to put enough ambiguity into the lyrics poetically that you can kind of assign whatever it is that's going on with you into it. A phrase I like a lot is you take away from something what you bring to it. I don't know, Teeth is about my friend telling me that he's having recurring nightmares about his teeth falling out. And then I looked it up and it's like, you're anxious. I was like, yeah, you are anxious, so I don't know what to tell you. But
makes sense.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. But then we play shows, I'm like, anybody ever have dreams where your teeth falls out? And everybody else goes, yeah, I do, I totally do. And I'm just goading them, saying something dumb for the next time. People just fucking are right on top of it.
where do you pull your musical inspiration from? What do you think is like the thing that constantly you go back to, that well that you draw from to keep moving forward musically?
There's catalogs and catalogs of great music to listen to, and it's endless. And I don't claim to get through everything, but I try and listen to a lot of music, and draw what I can from it.
I try to jump around genres if I can, just because I believe that there's good in every genre, and if there weren't, then it wouldn't exist. You know, when a song hits you the right way, and you're in the right mood, and you're walking with your headphones or whatever, and it just fucking tingles your spine.
Thinking about the stuff that like my dad and I used to listen to when I was a kid, it just brings me back to a spot of being like just relaxed and happy.
I got that a lot on our time together, so thank God for these guys for sharing their music with me. Otherwise, it mostly would have been classical piano, jazz.
But I think also we take a lot of inspiration just from like tactile things in front of us. For example, like you get a guitar pedal or a new cymbal or like a new synthesizer. It's just a new like texture to create stuff, or just you can kind of evoke different emotions based on what sounds you're using.
Yeah.
I think that is a big thing with us.
Kirby also built a synthesizer.
Yeah.
He didn't just teach himself how to play it, he built one.
Is there a reason that you're understating?
Yeah. I mean, Kirby's place on the tractor was much more texture and atmosphere, whereas now he's offering more harmony, more lead material, and is being much more upfront.
Well, yeah, I mean, you guys are obviously pulling from a pretty substantially wide range of different things like classic rock, prog, jazz, blues, whatever.
Yeah.
How do you really find a balance with that, with so many different things all kind of crashing together?
We don't.
We don't. No, it's.
We're gonna get in
I don't
trouble
know.
for that.
You know, when we're recording an album, we're recording something now. We have a lot of material to get through. And we're paring it down a lot, and it's not just because these songs are better than some. Sometimes we're just picking them because they work well together.
But I think we all have a good idea of what like the foundation of a song is, and some of them might be weirder than others, but we know when its structure is too fucking bizarre or just not working.
Okay, so do you then kind of almost test market songs then when you're playing a show to try to to tweak it a little bit to make it kind of flow a little nicer with what you've got going on?
You got to work the crowd. You got to know when somebody likes something or if it's just going to fall flat. And if it's an incredibly bizarre time signature and then there's a noise solo for 15 minutes, like they might not.
It's funny too, because sometimes you work on a song and you have no idea how it's going to go, and within 5 seconds of playing it live, you're like, well, that's how that went. You know?
What does being Canadian mean to you, and how do you think that influences your music?
I guess just being in a country that gives you the freedom to play and choose to play whatever you want without any sort of consequence, really, like real consequence.
But it shouldn't be so hard for Canadian bands to get into America and play there. That's one thing that's frustrating.
Yeah.
I don't believe good music has borders like countries do, but that would be my opinion.
What a politician.
That was beautiful, Scott.
Thank you.
Have a bigger community, because it's still like, this is a big city, but it's usually just small pockets. I feel like people in Toronto are pretty optimistic about Canadian music, and I feel like there's a lot of great bands here and a lot of pretty successful bands.
Yeah, it would be nice to compare music scenes, like to be able to spend 1 year in LA and 1 year in New York and San Francisco, but we don't know. So we're just kind of guessing about like what it's like over there. But often we are usually opening for a band from LA who's playing at the local bar, and we're expected to draw for them. But really, we're all still trying to make it on our own in this city. So there's competition coming, like you said. We have to deal with it.
But just competition from each other as well. I mean, like, I was going to say immediately that I just feel small as a Canadian band.
It's not direct competition. It's so silly, we should all just be out there having a good time, and some money would be nice. But you just get in there and it's everybody with their leather jackets on, they like just staring at each other, and then we come in and we're all pretty unassuming, goofy looking guys, and
We try to intimidate each other.
then they get even angrier that we come on. Ooh, these fucking
It's very rare to go to a gig and there will be some sort of instant camaraderie between all the bands playing.
Yeah.
Never.
People feel there's a competition when there isn't a competition, maybe.
something that I really want to address with you guys, because you are an up-and-coming band, is music in the internet age. I mean, you guys are a shining example of what you can do with access to technology. I mean, can you impart some words about the recording process for Detractor?
It's like we know a lot of bands who, you know, they use GoFundMe or Kickstarter or whatever, or they just work a whole year or two, and then they spend so much money to go into a studio to make a record that they know is not going to sell any copies, or they're just going to give away online. And that's a really foolish thing to do, you know, with your money. I mean, if you're rich, then, you know, more power to you. But, you know, Scott's a great engineer, and we can do it in 3 days for $200 or less. Why wouldn't we do it like that? It makes no sense. Like, that's why they call it indie music. That's what the whole thing is supposed to be, right? It means you don't have any money. Yeah. But, you know, there's plenty of bands who are indie bands who get a cult following, and it takes a little bit longer maybe than it used to, and you do a few records, and you got to tour most of the year, but they make a living, and I think that's just what we want, right? I think we'd all be pretty fucking happy if making a living at it. You know, that's not so bad.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of a technical thing, it's, you know, I had 16 inputs to work with, so yeah, I did have 2 mics and the drums, so there was a lot of crafting in the mix, as it were. And, you know, Everything was recorded live off the floor, no click, no nothing.
I remember I came to Scott. I was like, "We're a fucking rock and roll band, and you know the Beatles recorded live off the floor. That's what we're gonna do. You know, everything's got to be live, super clear or super dirty. It'll be great.
Yeah,
we'll do it.
I
in
just
3
kind of
days."
rolled my eyes. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
The first record, we'll do it this way.
yeah. And I think we're all pretty happy with how it turned out.
What is it that you're working on now? You guys are working on cutting a new record, and how has the recording process for this been? Is it very much the same?
It's totally different.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did scratch tracks of Alex's, all of our songs, just scratch guitar, and then Scott rented enough equipment to do all the drums,
Yeah.
and you banged that out in a weekend or two.
Yeah. 2
Yeah.
weekends, I think. Recorded drums individually. Then we track bass individually. We track keys individually, and we have the rest to do so far. So this one is the complete opposite of the last record.
Yeah.
We're building it piece by piece.
So stylistically, what do you think is different from Detractor?
I'll just quickly say that like when we started, I wanted the first record to be like very based in a rock and roll foundation. So I always thought like, this is where we start, it's really rock and rolly, and then we'll just get weirder from here if we want to. And that always was the foundation. And then I don't know, we all just started listening to different shit, I think, and I ran out of my bag of tricks of doing the little 12-bar blues turnaround in every song. But I don't know, what do you...
It's still gonna have a very like roots rock, like
Yeah.
bluesy
Still
feel
sounds
to
like
it.
us, Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've definitely twisted things and added too many layers, especially since we have separated all the instruments for recording.
Yeah.
It's gonna build into a much bigger project.
Kirby's
Sonically.
also become a little bit more of a force to be reckoned with in
Yeah.
this one. We started getting a little bit more spaced out with the synthesizer shit.
Yeah.
So it, like really the songs are almost like, here's a little alt rock song, and there's this weird sort of texture that eats it and makes it sound a little bit more mysterious than it is.
As far as being on the road, what do you guys think that the most memorable thing for you, as far as either whether it be moments for you as a band or just like dumb experiences that you've come across? I know that's a really hard question.
No, it's easy. You just shouldn't say it.